Film Dive Podcast.
And then it was just sequel after sequel after sequel.
There was no character development at all.
Just that on pure technical levels.
There are filmmakers that don't want it just to be an entertainment experience.
Hello and welcome to Media Academy and Lines Film Dive Podcast. So we're going to go straight into what we're talking about, which is...
We're talking about the animation studio, Laika, which I think we both have a soft spot for.
Yeah.
Because it's really one of the only studios that are doing stop motion animation.
Holding on to that.
Which is, we're hoping they can continue this in the future. It's the type of animation, it's very tactile, and it's something that in our education a decade ago, that was a strong part of our education, because we had a teacher who did that for a living. They worked on a heap of films here in Australia, Mary and Max and
Harvey Crumpet,
all that kind of stuff, which he did. You know, he's won awards in Cannes and stuff like that, I think, too, which is pretty impressive. So Laika, they've been around for decades, but they didn't start doing their own thing until, I don't know, a little while ago, maybe 10 years ago. They worked on Corpse Bride, which was like a subcontracting kind of deal, working with like Tim Burton and that team to create a Tim Burton film. It was great to see this quality out of stop motion animation. Because especially in the 90s when we were growing up, you were getting very like Play-Doh-y kind of approach to it with all like the kids series they were creating that was, you know, that kind of like made out of Play-Doh.
like Pingu.
Pingu, yeah, you got
Gumby.
the Pingu, Gumby, all that kind of stuff, which is very simplistic, just that kind of approach.
Do you remember Plasmo?
I actually met the guy.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
I loved that one.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, and I definitely spoke to the guy that created that, which was interesting.
Wow. Yeah.
But yeah, back in the Corpse Brides, we had, you know, Nightmare Before Christmas, which was still a very solid approach to stop motion animation. But I think A Corpse Bride, in terms of technically, was just really solid, which is kind of, you know, it's a good thing for us to appreciate, but it's a bad thing in that people just assumed it's 3D.
Yeah.
And that's where you get to that stage where it's
The
so
line's
smooth,
blurred.
so solid, and that's the issue we're getting at the moment, where it costs so much and so much time involved with stop motion animation that you get to the stage like, is it worth it?
Because you get things like Lego that came out, which embodies that whole idea, but it's 3D.
That's it.
So it's like, what's better? What's easier? What's cheaper? And also we had Wallace and Gromit. Quickly throw that in there.
Oh, absolutely. And they were huge. They were big, dying down now, and they've still got their own little kitty, Shaun the Sheep, and that kind of thing, which are doing well. But you know, for a while there, they were just they're solid.
Yeah, but all their films of recent times are not doing so well.
Yeah. Back in the Corpse Brides, again, that was more like a partnership between Tim Burton's team, and really they didn't go and do their own film until Coraline 2009, which was directed by Henry Selick, which was the director that did
Nightmare
Before Christmas. Again, not everyone knows that, but yes.
Yeah, wow.
And unfortunately, everyone says that Coraline is a Tim Burton film. Not a Tim Burton film. He had nothing to do with it at all.
Oh, poor Henry.
Yeah. We feel you, Henry.
Yeah.
We're going to give you a shout out.
We've done it multiple times.
We'll continue, mate.
Yeah.
I really like this one.
How could you not?
It was a solid story, solid characters.
It's dark.
It was very dark.
Very Henry Selick.
It is very Henry Selick. He's got a very interesting style where when it's not all in your face, it's quite simple and quite laid back, but the contrast, there's always that large contrast where it's quite simple and then right in your face.
I find like his character designs are always very insecty.
Yeah, it's a very interesting design style. It's very James and the Giant Peach kind of approach.
Yeah.
Which, again, same director, you'd expect that. Just the idea, the concept, which I think was based on a book.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
And Dakota Fanning doing the voice works wonders.
She was...
Yeah, perfect.
Did really well there. I think the other characters were really great too.
Yeah.
The dad.
Yeah, I really liked the dad. The darkness of it, it was just surprising to me when I saw it, and how successful it was. I think it won the Academy Award as well. No, it was nominated, and it probably lost to Pixar.
Yeah.
Which seems to be a running theme.
Yeah.
Yep. It probably should have won, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because it's something different.
That could be half the issue, is that all the animated films get plonked into one category, even though they're very different approaches.
Yeah. It should win some technical achievement.
Yeah,
award.
Especially, I agree. Like, the amount of effort to create these sets and create these characters. Like, for instance, like Coraline, they got all these faces printed. The bottom half of her face every frame would get replaced with a new mouth. I don't know, a little new mouth that just clips in.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. And then the line they just Photoshop out. If you do your research, you can see shots where they've just got all the mouths laid out already in order, and you just have to literally clip it on. Which is, a lot of work involved with that. And then the person has to go and Photoshop all the lines out. So much technology involved. It's crazy. The sets are these giant, they're huge. When you don't realise how big they are until you realise a guy has to, they need to build in trap doors so someone can stick their head out.
Yeah.
In order to
half their body
pose them. And then the next one was Paranorman.
Yeah. Sort of back to back.
Continuing, they'd already made, I guess, this trend of dark films where they had done they had done Corpse Bride, Coraline,
Nightmare Before Christmas even was like the father, and then you get all these other ones that are just sort of keeping in that vein.
Which Paranorman was a fun one again. I really liked it.
I loved it. Yeah, it was great. And we sort of had Tim Burton coming out with Frankenweenie at this time as well. So once again, really another crossover. Yeah. It was very bizarre.
After Coraline, this was the next one. Bigger film, larger scope.
Yeah. Really
trying to position themselves as their own studio at this stage. They're kind of separate to Hollywood. They're not based in Hollywood or anything. Yeah. Again, the technology. I think half the issue is that they're blending. They do as much practical as they can, but again, there is that element of 3D and CG that needs to go in it to create all these effects.
Yeah.
And again, this is continuing that idea that people just don't know that it's made by hands.
Yeah, well, and also this was 2 directors on this one. And one of the guys had worked on Flushed Away. He directed that. So there was a bit of crossover from Aardman to this as well. So it's funny how it's all kind of like a melting pot of these guys, and they're all, mix and match.
Yeah, a club that keeps it going.
Yeah.
Box Trolls.
Yeah, I actually really enjoyed this one.
Yeah, again, this was, it's quite dark again. Less mythical in terms of, like, it wasn't like ghosts and ghouls and that kind of thing, but it still had that fantasy element to it. It was quite dark still again.
Yeah, I actually really enjoyed the setting and like using other British actors. We had Nick Frost and the guy from IT Crowd and heaps of these kind of cool actors, and Ellie Fanning does the voice for the girl in this one. So Dakota was in Coraline, and then the sisters in this one. So it's pretty cool. Really enjoyed it just because it felt unique for me at the time.
Yeah.
I didn't when I was going into it, I thought, I might not like this one.
Yeah.
But I was pleasantly surprised.
I saw this one. This was at the stage where we really started seeing these at the cinemas. I saw this one at the cinemas,
which I hadn't yet. I hadn't really got on board yet. Like I was on board, but I wasn't going to the cinemas.
Yeah. Paranorman, I didn't see in the cinemas because it was in the cinemas, but I didn't see it. Yeah. Box Trolls, I remember. This is when they started becoming a big thing, and it was quite busy. The cinema where I went and saw it. I saw it at the drive-in.
Yeah. Right.
And that was really busy.
Yeah. Okay.
And then moving on from that, it was Kubo.
I saw this one at the cinema. Yeah.
I'd missed this one. So this one I ended up seeing on DVD or something.
Yeah. I really enjoyed this one.
I think this one was where they started not doing as well.
Yeah. Budget estimate 60 mil. And then the worldwide gross 76.
Yeah, so this one was a flop. It's unfortunate. Because again, I think it comes down to their marketing more than anything, because it was a good story. It was it's unique. Solid. It was a new approach to what they've been doing in the past.
I just feel like they don't really have an audience
when they first started, they really hit that moment where like Tim Burton was a big thing and that style was a big thing. The Coraline style, all that kind of dark, cringy style was a big thing.
Yeah.
And now all these studios are forced to reinvent themselves and find their audience again because the audience have moved on.
Yeah.
And that's the issue. So and this is them trying to try something new.
Yeah, which is you got to applaud them for taking risks, doing new IPs. They're not doing sequels.
Yeah,
and they're trying things.
Mm-hmm.
And this was a very left field kind of vision or idea, concept that I was very impressed by how ambitious it was in some ways and how adult it was in a lot of ways. The themes and the musical elements in it and the scary elements in it. Like they really do encapsulate a lot of different sort of feels and tones. And
I remember watching an interview with Travis Knight, the CEO of Laika. This was quite a while ago, this was probably 10 years ago, when he was discussing his thoughts for the company, and he wanted to be effectively another Pixar where they had, you know, multiple films that are happening at the same time, having a film a year come out was their plan. So you've got, you know, like overlapping projects going on. Unfortunately, it hasn't happened yet, and I guess it comes down to, again, it's really finding their audience, and it's an issue, it's a difficult spot in today's society because everyone's Marvel.
Yeah, it's either
everyone's
Disney or
superhero,
Marvel
and that's it's tough.
There's not much room for anything else.
You're either watching Disney stuff, then you turn 10 or 11, you're straight onto Marvel these days. It feels like there is no in between anymore.
Well, the other in between is like DreamWorks or Blue Sky, like all those other 3D animations. You know, if you're not watching Disney, kids are watching that.
Yeah,
and then I feel like Laika probably need to scale back and get a win like Aardman did with Shaun the Sheep, or like try and find a small audience on a streaming platform and try and get some revenue and some support that way. Try and build an audience that way.
Because there has been some pretty solid Netflix animation. There's one that came out a few years ago. I can't remember the name. That one was really interesting. It was funded by Netflix.
Right.
It was a similar one to what we'd seen before. It was sort of like that take on like that sci-fi robot mix, Big Hero 6 kind of approach.
Oh yeah, that's right. I think I do remember checking that one out.
Moving on from there, I suppose their next one was Missing Link, which I still haven't seen.
Which was a massive failure.
This is, I guess, I'm really worried for them now.
Because this was 100 million. This is their biggest budget, right?
Yeah.
They made 26 from 100 million. You almost can't recover from that. When I watched this film, right, I felt like it wasn't as big scale as, say, Kubo, or even some of the other ones, like Box Trolls or Paranorman. It didn't feel like as lively as those, or as the world just didn't feel as built up.
Well, when you've got big names like that, you got to pay them 10 million to even, you know, get up in the morning. Some of these actors are getting $20 million per film. There's your money there. Yeah,
there's a lot of sort of bigger names in this one. I don't know. I really don't know why this costs so much.
Summing it all up, I think Laika is better as a small studio.
Yeah.
And they should probably stay doing the Coralines. Yep. Don't spend too much on marketing. Yeah. Don't try and be the next Disney.
They're trying to compete with
because
the big boys.
It's tough. It's very tough to become a new studio when you don't have that brand. Yeah. Disney have so much more to fall
back on. Yeah.
You know, they've got so much there.
They got a legacy, whereas Coraline, and you mentioned those films to people and they've all moved on. They're all old now, and it's like, who cares?
Yeah.
You know, but people just keep gravitating back to what they know, which is Disney, Pixar.
And I think they could easily do what their approach was, like I mentioned before, where they want to have one a year. You can do one a year with $10 million budgets. Fine. Yeah. And I think that's probably better.
Definitely.
To doing that.
Definitely go that route.
Than trying to do these big, giant spectacle ones that don't feel it, you know? And if you start making these decent films that might be able to get a cult following, then you might have these bigger actors that are willing to do it for less money.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because that's usually what happens, you know.
Like Mary and Max, you know, they had like guys like Philip Seymour Hoffman and
yeah, and that film was a tiny budget.
So, and they did all their lines over the phone and stuff like that. So it's like they just got to find ways of tapping into it and competing with the big boys by playing small and less risk.
And if you do more shorter, smaller films, because Coraline had a smaller budget, but it still felt just the same size. When you watch a film, you don't see that money that you spent on screen.
No, and that's probably the problem with, you know, Laika as well, I suppose. Like, I hate saying it's a problem, but I just find, like, I don't really notice the scale. As much as they're putting all that hard work in and they're building puppets that are huge, the biggest ones they've ever done, and the sets are bigger and more in depth and more detailed. Like, I do notice the detail and all that has definitely come a long way, but I'm not really noticing the scale and where the money's going.
No.
I don't know
and
if
no
it's
one
marketing.
does. That's the thing with any film. Yeah, okay, you watch a Marvel film and you can clearly see the money spent on those. But at the same time, you can watch any film and you never see, oh, I just watched that shot. That shot was, you know, $1 million. That shot was $2 million. You don't see that. You just see a story. And you got to stick with that story. And smaller stories can still be as successful as large stories.
Yeah.
Especially with this kind of animation. You're trying to make these huge sets, practical sets. You could make that, you know, a third smaller, and it still would look the same to the audience. Because when you're competing against people in computers that can copy and paste an object 50 times, but when you have to make that object by hand, you have to go ahead and paint it, and you have to go and craft it and animate it. And it's all, there's a lot of work. On the computer, it's copy and paste. But it's not that way with this stuff. You know, my advice, even though it means nothing to them, but my advice is to, again, make it all smaller stories. Again, you can have that detail, just shrink it all down.
They've all been about, this is estimated 60 million for each of their films, right? Yeah. And with each one, they've almost been getting lesser returns.
Yeah.
But then the last one, Missing Link, was 100 million.
Yeah.
So then they were like, oh, let's go all out for this one.
We look at Mary and Max, which we talk about all the time. But that was a much smaller budget. And that film looked amazing. The detail was there.
Yeah.
They were able to do clever things to make it feel big.
Yeah. And
that was a film that had all practical and no effects over the top of it. I think scaling down and actually watching your pennies is something, especially with this format, that in order to keep it alive might be the only way of, you know, creating some sort of legacy, is to have these smaller films. And when you do have a success, because you're creating more of them, you've got a bigger chance of having bigger successes. As long as the quality is still there, just hiring new teams to be able to create this stuff, new directors, making decent stories, but just on a smaller scale, being able to do that, you'll get more return for that success. And which means you can, again, continue the legacy that you're trying to build. Just
adding to other claymation stuff happening at the moment, I don't know if you saw Wes Anderson's films, like Fantastic Mr. Fox and Isle of Dogs.
I remember the Fantastic Mr. Fox got slaughtered in the animation world.
Did it?
Yeah, just because of they used practical fur.
Yeah.
And so when you'd watch the animation, like the fur would be glitching all over the place. Every frame would be different. Because when you got real hands,
you
know, controlling it, puppeting it, you know, posing it. Every time you touch it, the fur's going to be moved in a slightly different spot.
It was very rough and rugged.
So working within the whole animation world, you hear all this stuff. But other than that, in terms of a story, it's fine. It was
Roald Dahl sort of.
It had its own style.
Yeah, but yeah, it's just interesting to see where we go from here. I'm interested to see what they've got up their sleeve, if anything.
Hopefully, they're not gone yet.
They should just jump on a streaming. If they can.
Make a deal with Netflix.
Yeah.
Do something like that. And then you don't have to worry about box office. That's not a thing anymore.
Yeah. Just go straight to the consumer. Do something like Wallace and Gromit, you know. Something that they can just keep churning out as a fallback.
Talking about smaller scale, doing a TV show might be a way of doing it, because there is debatably a lot a lot more money that can be made in TV shows because they're cheaper, and you've got a lot more stations around the world you can sell it to.
Yeah.
But again, if we did do a Netflix deal or something like that, that's it. Helps Netflix because they're getting drowned out at the moment, trying to, stand out from the crowd. I mean, they're huge, but still, it's trying to find, get these clear winners.
Yeah.
Disney are doing their thing. They're going to keep firing on all cylinders.
Well, Disney haven't even like launched their full assault yet, like, because they've just fell back on their back catalogue. Pretty much, they've just gone, here's Disney Plus, with all that back catalogue.
And the Disney Plus is interesting because we haven't seen that huge push of new content.
No.
There's been a lot of shitty stuff being added, which is like behind the scenes and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's just all temporary, just throwing on there. But just wait. You just wait.
Especially now we've got this Corona stuff happening. I reckon it's as soon as we get past this. But this is the stage when they're working on all the development of it. They're on their computers at home coming up with this content.
Well, they've got all the Marvel TV shows. They've got so much up their sleeve.
Yeah, they'll be working on other animation programs.
They're going to kill it. Next year and the following year, Netflix are going to start dipping and Disney Plus is going to start.
And then we had that new milestone that Disney's reached 50 million subs. And Netflix is, I don't know, 150, 170, something like that. Like, it's going to start. Yeah. So these two are going to be rivals, I reckon. They'll both stick around, but they'll just be like the two front runners. Yeah. Anyway, we'll finish it there. Make sure you like, subscribe, ring that bell. Indeed. If you listen to this on any of our podcast platforms, then you can't ring a bell, but go onto our YouTube and then
and then
ring
hit those
bell.
buttons. And thanks for listening. We need the support. So we can keep going.
Please, if you have got this far, you are a legend. So
so we don't die like Laika will.
Make sure we're not Laika, please.
Yeah, we want to be more like Disney.
We're going to be Disney. Disney of YouTube.
Anyway, we'll see you next time. Adios.
See you later.